What's up guys, today we're going to be talking about toxicity in the gaming community. This video was inspired by Drifter's video on toxicity in Overwatch. I'm gonna have a card because people don't use annotations anymore. What the fuck is annotations? You can click the card at the top right, I believe it is. Haven't uploaded in a while and I'm kinda still figuring out where everything is. So top right, click that to watch this video. Anyways, let's get into my video. While I can talk about the same topic, I actually want to talk about the fact that we rarely see communities stay positive for more than a year or two after they have been playing the game, which is very disturbing and also poses the question, can any community stay positive? Is toxicity a path that cannot be avoided by even the most positive communities? Well, a prime and recent example would be Overwatch. When it was released, it was actually quite surprising as to how non-aggressive and non-toxic everyone was, but over time the toxic elements we see in games like Call of Duty, League of Legends, Battlefield, just to name a few, were popping up in competitive Overwatch, and mainly it was the regular toxicity you see in most competitive games. But over a period of time, it got worse and worse. It actually made me leave the game for a while, and I'm still questioning whether I should start playing again or not. But Overwatch is not the only game with this problem. Rather, I would say toxicity is now a really big problem in Overwatch now, but it is going towards that path. So can we find an example of a game community that is not mostly toxic? Well, since Overwatch is a shooter, we can take a look at a few shooters and evaluate their community. Call of Duty. Well, I have been playing Call of Duty for about 5 or 6 years, and I can safely say that it's not really pleasant to talk to people in voice chat. Most of the time I just mute everyone and try to enjoy the game by myself, especially on Xbox Live 360. It was just crazy. I'm talking about kids screaming at the mic, getting their moms on the mic. I had like twice parents come to the lobby like we were playing Search and Destroy and just scream at us, how can you talk to my kids like that? What the fuck is wrong with you? It was actually quite funny and not really toxic, but like when you get a screaming kid in the lobby, it's quite annoying. Counter-Strike. Now, I have very limited experience with Counter-Strike, and from what little I have played and heard from my friends who avidly play it, it's also just better to mute certain people. And Timefall. Well, I played Timefall for a bit, and I do have to say that people are not that toxic, and that may have to deal with the game not being that popular. Sure, it was kind of popular when it came out with the lack of guns and other stuff. It didn't make the game last. It just made the game fall really fast, and the community never really grew. So that's kind of, saddening, let's say, but we have Timefall 2, and, it gets kind of obvious now that popular games are more prone to developing toxic communities than the ones that have a smaller target audience and smaller community. Now, before we ask the question, why is that, I want to list like 2 communities, and they're both from Blizzard's games. Hearthstone and World of Warcraft. I'll get to World of Warcraft in a second. Hearthstone. Basically, no one can actually be toxic. There's like 2 ways you can be toxic. It used to be sorry, just spamming sorry, and they removed that because, I guess they didn't want toxicity, and also just, adding someone after the game and just typing something to them, but that's totally up to the player if he accepts the friend request or not. So Hearthstone is, apart from being a 1v1 game, you can only be toxic by emoting, and even if you feel annoyed, you just mute the other player, and that's it. So you can say on the forums that they are toxic, but I think Hearthstone has a really good community. I like the Hearthstone community. I'm actually playing quite a bit of Hearthstone now. And also World of Warcraft, I think they recently or last year got one server. I'm not sure what happened, but a server got shut down, and just everyone came together in unison. I know that Warcraft does have a history of having toxic people, but it was quite satisfying to see so many people come together and just say goodbye to whatever server was, just being disbanded or whatever. I'm not sure. Don't crucify me, please. So getting back to the question, why are larger communities prone to developing toxic communities? Rather than asking, is every community just going to slip into toxicity, we should ask what communities are more prone, and is toxicity just something every community has? Well, from what we've talked about in this video, we can assume that larger games with large audiences are more prone to having toxic environment to play in. That's because it's inevitable with millions and millions of people playing the game with all different backgrounds, countries, continents, ways they were raised, and ages is just bound to happen, and really the only solution for this that you can have an influence on is to start with yourself and try not to be toxic towards your fellow player. It's something that I've been trying to do, and I've been having a greater deal or harder deal in doing, because it's just kind of easy sometimes to slip into toxicity. I know how it is. I have been toxic. There's actually like a few clips in one of my videos. I think it was the Reinhardt montage or something like that, or something like some recent video have had me screaming, and it's just easy. I know how it is to slip into toxicity and be toxic towards players, but sometimes I just refrain myself, and it's good for you. You sometimes make friends, you sometimes meet new people, and you sometimes just with talking to someone make them change their character, their not play style, but just help them help you by changing, and just I'm talking about Overwatch. So really start with yourself, and of course every game with a big audience is gonna have toxic people, but like if everyone just start with themselves, it will be less toxic. Of course sometimes you're just gonna have to scream. It's part of a game. It's part of, just if you play like 10 games a day, you're bound to have someone who's toxic, and I think that's kind of the point, is that toxicity is kind of something that's gonna happen. It's like the one in the Matrix. He's bound to be created, or bound to happen if you watch the Matrix ever. That's kind of like a bad reference. Anyways, a video on why I didn't upload very much, 3 weeks. I am ashamed, I have to admit, is going to be out soon. I don't want to promise anything. School is finished. That was the main part of why I didn't upload. I just want to focus on school these last few months and just have room for YouTube this summer, because this is gonna be the last summer with the people from my class, because next year we're just gonna be disbanded. I'm finishing high school and stuff like that. So I just wanted to have fun with everyone and have room for YouTube. I think I want to regain the audience I lost during this hiatus I had. So I'm not gonna waste your time anymore. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to like. If you did, make sure to dislike, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.